Okay, let's do it. I'm realizing I put that whole pre-stream together, and I am just so impatient that I never actually sit and wait for it to finish. Yeah, I'm excited to get into this. Welcome everyone. Welcome to the channel and the stream. My name is Eric. I am your photographer, editor, guide through national parks for today. And today we are in Zion, which is hands down one of my favorites. I contend it is almost impossible. I contend it's impossible to intentionally take a bad photo of Zion. It is a gorgeous national park. It's such a treat to be part of. I've got to pick, I'm already looking at a picture in Lightroom, and I'm just so jazzed to get into this. So, welcome, everyone who joins. This is an open forum. I try to mention this as much as I can. I want this to be as much of an open forum as possible. I'm sharing my artistic process, but I want to hear your thoughts. I want this to be a dialogue as much as it can be. Also, as always, if you're a photographer or an artist of any kind, if you spend part of your day creating, please share your work in the chat. Share links to stuff. As much as this is my platform, I want it to be yours. And my why for doing this, the reason that I share this process is because I feel like so often access to deep artistic editing is behind a paywall or is not discussed enough. It is a hugely important part of photography, and it's something that's not real. Doesn't really get its due because it's not as glamorous. It's a lot of sit at computer, play with sliders. So yeah, I try to pull the curtain back on that and share my process. Hello, Stephanie. Welcome to the stream. Always glad to have you here. And hello, Evelyn and Mia. I assume you two are watching at some point. Hope you two are doing well as well. Hope you guys are looking after all your kittens. Okay, so let's go ahead and jump into Lightroom. This is Zion. This photo's already been edited. So it's not, sadly we don't get to edit this one, but we can admire it for a second while I talk about this. So yeah, Zion National Park. The common wisdom is that if you're starting out to start seeing the national parks, the kind of prevailing idiom is do them alphabetically. Start with Acadia, end with Zion, and Zion is certainly the jewel at the end of this. Not that any of the other parks are anything to sneer at. So yeah, this is the Watchman. This is kind of the peak that sort of sits right at the entrance to Zion. It's technically Zion Canyon National Park, but unlike something like the Grand Canyon or even Bryce Canyon. Yeah, Grand Canyon and Bryce, both of them, the majority of the park is up on the rim of the canyon, and you can hike down into it. With Zion, it's the opposite. I don't know if there's any other parks that do it that are like this apart from Zion. With Zion, the park is in the canyon, and you hike up to the rim, and that is just makes for a super unique experience. Makes for a super amazing just this place to visit and things to see. So this is the Watchman. It's the first thing you see. It's kind of at the peak, or it's a peak right at the entrance to the park, and it is just one of my favorite things. My brother actually after we went, he went and got a tattoo of the Watchman. So and talk about favorite shots I've ever gotten. This is the shot of the Watchman here, which just Milky Way over the Watchman. Zion is pretty much a dark sky, almost a dark sky spot. So this photo has been edited and been enhanced so you can really get a sense of the Milky Way, but you can see it with the naked eye out there in the summer. It is just like nothing else. It's nonstop gorgeous. But those photos have been edited, so that's not what we're going to do today. I'm going to take a little tour through Zion. Some of these are photos from my phone, so we're not going to be editing them too much. They are raw files. Here's a good sense of kind of what Zion is like. I believe that's let me see. Can I zoom in 100% over here? Where is it? Okay, I guess I'm not seeing it. So there's the river that runs through it, and that's what you're seeing here. Which is not much in this part of the canyon because it's just it's the summer, it's a drier season. You're not going to get a whole lot of water flowing through here. It's also it's a desert, so it's highly dependent on rain. When it does rain, this whole thing gets much more intense. But yeah, this is the this is kind of what a look down the canyon more or less looks like. This I've got this right. I believe this is Angel's Landing, which is one of the big famous things in the park. And there's a hike that I think now requires like tickets and reservations because it's so popular. They needed to actually schedule people because it was just getting completely crowded. But there is a hike that takes you up to the top of this, and we'll talk about some of those photos as well. Yep, another shot looking through it. Yeah, the three kind of most famous hikes in the park. Angel's Landing is the first one. The Narrows is the second one, and that's the one that kind of goes. I have no pictures because I have not done that hike yet, because that trail is currently closed for current estimate 3 to 5 years, last I heard. Because it's the one where you hike actually up into the canyon, and the canyon where here it's very wide. As it gets there, it narrows down to, I think at narrowest it's under 10 feet wide, and you are up to your thighs in water. You're really walking upriver. There's just river. It's like you're in the water, and there's sandstone walls, and that's it. And it's a phenomenal experience from everything I've been told. But it's also that's one that you can't. You're very, very dependent on the weather. So if it's raining anywhere in the area, they tend to close that hike down, or they don't really close the hike necessarily. They tend to very strictly advise against it, which is what you get in the national parks. And you listen to the rangers when they say that. Up here, I believe, if I've got this right, I believe that's Observation Point, which is one of the other big famous hikes, also closed for several years due to flooding and new obstacles in the pathway. But you'll kind of see why as we kind of click through these. Some of these have been edited, some of them haven't. There's a good look kind of down the wall of the canyon, turn around the other direction. Yeah, same kind of thing. This is kind of halfway up Angel's Landing. So you just see the park is down here. Can you see that's the river. The road is down there somewhere. I just can't find it. There's your pathway that you kind of follow. You start off down here somewhere, you cross through this. It's overexposed, but you can see kind of have a path through that. You come up here, and then you zigzag up what are called Wally's Wiggles, and we'll see them in a sec. And then you kind of get to the top, and then you continue out to the end of Angel's Landing, where you get this gorgeous view down the canyon. And the one difference between Angel's Landing and Observation Point in terms of views is that you're looking the same direction, you're seeing the same way down the canyon, but with Observation Point, you can see Angel's Landing as well, which obviously you can't do from on top of Angel's Landing. Let's see, these are chipmunks. They are adorable. They are very friendly. They tended to get, they would have no problem getting right up in your face. I've got a picture on here somewhere. Okay. Yeah, I guess that's what time it is. Okay. I had a picture somewhere. I don't think it's on here, but I had a picture somewhere of like I was sitting at the top having a snack before going out, and one of them climbed right up my backpack. So, very friendly, very adorable, very dramatically lit right here. Just having a little chipmunk conversation. Let's see, gonna click through a couple more just to give you a sense of what the scale of this place looks like. That's as you go out Angel's Landing, that's the chain you can hold on to. Yeah, this is very much the pathway out there. Let's see, what other shots have we got here? Just as there's the chain, climbing up, there's some people up there. So yeah, you're following the path right up to the top. Hello, Shelby Lane. Yeah, this is live. This is a brand new one. Welcome to the new stream. It's very exciting. Let's see. Here we go. There's your view. Kind of oversaturated, but wow, yeah, seriously oversaturated. Bring that down. Let's make this more reasonable. But yeah, there's your view kind of from the top of Angel's Landing, looking just down the canyon, at the expanse of this place. It's phenomenal. It's a very, very gorgeous spot to be. Let's see. A lot of shots with my hand in them intentionally. This is kind of the other side of it. Yeah, a lot of just looking down that canyon. All right, and then let's see. Oh yeah, I did a lot with this one. Yeah. Oh hey Jen, welcome to this. Glad you're here. And yes, oh my God, Zion. You give me a choice of which national park to live like within driving distance of. Zion is very high on the list. All right. Let's talk about mountains and fog. I don't know if we're going to edit. I think I've edited most of these, so we're just going to click through them. But yeah, the mount. This is a view from the campsite we were staying at. And the mountains there just absolutely just every morning shrouded in this gorgeous, gorgeous, Lord of the Rings style fog. Absolutely beautiful. Okay, let's see. Let me sort these by unedited. See what I get. Not a whole lot. Okay. Really, I edited all the other ones. Okay, we'll work on these. All right, cool. So, yeah, and then we've got another foggy morning here with the peaks and the peak coming out of the fog, and you can see just the gorgeous. I'm gonna zoom in a little bit less. The gorgeous colors in the rocks and in the landscape out there, especially in that kind of lighting, is just absolutely pretty and absolutely phenomenal. There's just from where we were, you could look down and see we're in a side canyon here. This is one of the it's the canyon overlook trail, which of course it being Shelby Lynn, we did schedule the stream specifically to confuse you. I'm sorry that I'm glad that it worked. All right, you know what? This one doesn't look like we've done much with it. Let's do this one. Okay, so this is same thing, Canyon Overlook Trail. Kind of from it was fun. When we hiked up there, it was pouring with rain, which meant that most of the other trails were going to be closed off because Zion is full of canyons, and when you're in the canyon and it starts raining, water rushes down from gets collected in slot canyons and then eventually converges into bigger canyons and eventually into the biggest canyon, and it brings and of course when a lot of water is rushing through a canyon, it's going to pick up stuff and it's going to bring it with it. So a lot of those trails get closed off in the rain, or if there's any indication of rain being potentially around, because it's gonna fill up that canyon with not just with water, but also potentially with let's adjust that a little bit and tweak this. Not just with water, but with potentially gotta put this back. Let's reset that. I want to work on this again. Do it myself. So not just with water, but potentially with trees and rocks and all kinds of other debris that you don't really want to be in competition with. So this trail is the Canyon Overlook Trail that we did in the pouring rain and was a lot of fun. But let's see, can I do this as a 4x5? Does that work? Yeah, it's doable. Make it a little bigger. Bring it up there. A little bit bigger over here. Yeah, I like that. We can work on that. So we did this in the rain. It was fun because you can see on the side here, and I think I've got a better shot of it here. Is it? Yeah. Okay. So you can see we're coming right through the middle. Here is this waterfall. That is just trail went through this sort of cave. Not so much cave, but little carve out in the rocks, and so we're kind of behind this little waterfall. And when this is coming toward the end of the trail, on the way back, this waterfall was gone because it existed because of the rain. And that's one of the really cool things about the landscape out there, about hiking the canyons. All right, I want to see what the sky's got for me in this photo before I do too much else with it. So yeah. But yeah, so Zion Canyon is what we're going to be looking at today. Nice, pretty good job there. Which means I can bring the highlights down. I'm curious how much of a mess my lens is. Well, Jen, looks like you got new fans. All right. No, that's just the rain coming down. Okay. What can we do with this? Something I kind of like about seeing the rain there. I think I might do something with that. Make that part of the photo. Let's see, how noisy did we just get? Not too bad, actually. White's covering the noise pretty well, and this was a little more exposed than I wanted it to be, which actually helps in this case. So good. Okay. we'll do that with the sky, and now we can come back to our global adjustments and we can keep working on everything else. So, up the clarity a bit. I think I want to dehaze. Actually, I think I want to do that with a inverted mask. So duplicate and invert, so I get everything else. And now we can dehaze. And we can get some of that. And bring in some of that color. And brighten up those shadows. Ooh, saturation's giving us some blues and purples. That's awesome. We're going to do more on that. Let's come back to our crop a little bit now that we've started to get a handle on this photo. We're going to bring this a little bit smaller. Gonna find the balance. I don't love the composition on this to begin with, so we're gonna see what we can find here. But it gives me a chance to talk about Zion and to explore the canyon with you, and I'm happy about that. And for me to kind of relive it. Cool. Start with that. Let's come down to color. There's probably not too much to do with this photo. We just want to selectively bring up some of these colors. Ooh, greens. Yeah, greens are giving us some vibrance we did not have, and I'm happy about that. Let's push our yellows a little more toward green. There we go. Starting to give this thing a little bit more character and personality. A little more blue in there is good. Aqua. Yes, aqua exists. Woo! My long lost love of teal getting its due. Let's see. Man, that's another thing about the thing about Zion is just like there's so many beautiful colors in the rock that you don't want to. Like I never want to let it. You know, I'm always like, yeah, oversaturating. But then I look at it, I'm like, yeah, that's really brings out just the beauty of it and the you know, one of the reasons we as photographers love overcast days is because we get like it makes the lighter, softer light and lets all the colors pop really nicely. So there's a lot we can play with. And you get to bring out some beautiful, beautiful colors. All right. Start finding balances here with light. I'm cool by that. I'll probably up the saturation a little more as well. I want to find that nice contrast. Yeah, the red rocks out there. This is the same, like, you know, geologically we're in the same sort of region where you find stuff like Antelope Canyon and down in Arizona, and you find, you know, we're not too far from Colorado where you're gonna find, you know, red rocks and Red Rock Amphitheater and that stuff. So it's a beautiful area and just fascinating geologically to be able to see this. All right, let's bring up the saturation a bit, which should bring up the bring up the vibrance. I'm gonna bring the vibrance up a little bit and the saturation up a bit as well. Saturation a little more than the vibrance. That's a little bit much. Let's pull that down a bit. Maybe vibrance up a bit. Get a little more of those purples in there. Cool. Okay, let's crop this again because I'm realizing I don't want too much more beyond that side. Let the water just sort of be the edge of the shot, like that. It's coming along. Okay. Let's see if I can get rid of this little guy up here. See what we can do with a remove brush. Actually, that's a real easy thing to fix if I can't. Let's see what this does. Nope, that doesn't look good. No, I want to get rid of it. Let's get rid of that. Let's mask it. New mask, brush. And this is the kind of thing that you could do in Photoshop, and that, like, if there was a lot of this to do, I would do in Photoshop, but this is actually, because it's just this small corner, it's easy to do. So we're just going to grab that, and we're going to turn up the exposure. And we're going to turn up the highlights, and we're going to turn up the shadows. We're just going to crank everything up, and hopefully that'll turn this whole thing to just white is ideal. And then we'll dehaze it like that, and we get rid of it. Nice. Easy when you want to convert things to just white. That makes things easy. Okay, and I have not been to Arches or Canyonlands. I have Arches is on my list. Arches has, you know, absolutely been. I've seen the photos and it's absolutely gorgeous. Canyonlands I don't know much about, so I would, yeah, Jen, please tell us all about Canyonlands. Evelyn and Mia, listen up. This is gonna be important. Might be too much sugar in that. Anyway, yeah, let's see. What else do I want to do here? Right now I'm kind of happy with this. I think as far as where this photo can go, I'm pretty happy with it. I want to let's bring the blacks down a bit. Let's get a bit of the blacks, maybe just the shadows. I want a little more contrast in this. Highlights up a bit. Now whites up a bit. I'm going to do that on the mask, so I'm not doing it to the rain. Let's bring the whites up just a little bit. There we go. Something like that. You know, Evelyn and Mia, you guys you're watching my channel the whole time, like, and like we get a celebrity in the chat, and now you're starstruck. I'm just saying, like, I think I'm cool too. All right, so we edited that photo. That photo's gonna get some marks, and we're gonna move on with our lives. Let me take another look at this one that I've already done some stuff with, but I want to take another peek at. I do like this. I do like that composition. I don't know. There's, ooh, Canyonland sounds cool. I am very curious to hear more about that one. All right. So this one, yeah, having the highlights up is going to bring our attention right to that stream of water coming down right in the middle, which would be great. Let me try. This is not going to work. I'm going to try it anyway. I want a luminance range and I want white. Okay, let's bring this. All right, that's not working. Let's do this. Let's delete that. Let's get the sky. Thank you, Stephanie. Thank you, Evelyn and Mia. I couldn't resist teasing you a little bit. Let's see. All right. Add a brush. Could do this with linear gradients, but I think brush is going to be the easiest way to do it. I'm just going to brush through here. Just going to get this our little fake falls here. Something like that. All right, so now, yeah, I think that works, especially because this is allowed to look a little bit aggressive, which is fine. I'm not sure it needs much. What I would rather do is, let's do a duplicate and invert so I can get everything else. And now I can bring stuff down and our focus can really be on that misty falls in there, which is great. Let's see. Clarity can stay where it is for now. Texture. I'm gonna do texture as a linear thing in a sec. We'll come back to texture and clarity. They're gonna get their own little thing. Let's see. Let's do a new mask, linear. We're gonna do it like this. We're gonna do one here. On the side, gonna zoom out a little bit so we can get the nice gradient going there, something like that. We're gonna add another one and flip over to this side. Same deal, just to get nice wide gradient there that just sort of barely touches on our waterfall. And then we're going to subtract the sky so that section doesn't get touched. Good. We can now come back to fit. And now I should be able to up the texture with some slight adjustments here. So that texture seems to, you don't even need to maximize it. I can just bring it up a little bit. There we go. Let's work on this one. Let's move this one out as well. So that we kind of get a little more texture as we go out. I feel like I'm overdoing it. I feel like that's... I don't know. Maybe I'll darken it up as well. Bring the blacks down. There we go. That helps. That way we still get that detail, but we don't get... Actually, I can also bring the clarity up and then still bring the blacks down more. Shadows a bit. There we go. want to find that line between a little bit of detail, but not drawing our eye away from our sky and waterfall in the middle, which I am going to brighten up a bit. How can I do that without? That's a start. Do that without losing the detail in there, because I really love that detail. All right, let's grab a brush. Let's drop our brush down to about 30%. Let's get the area in here. Let's bring that up to about 60%. Get that area. Let me see the overlay here. Yeah, I want that area to be 60, and then I want everything else to be 100. A little more than I needed there. Stuff here. There we go. Coming along. Needs a little more touching up. Let's keep working on it. Let's see. I'll go back to that brush. Brush that in. See the overlay. Turn our feathering all the way up. We're just gonna brush up a little bit, kind of around the edges here, so we get a little more brightness and not quite as harsh a line there, though we do have it from the tree, and that's fine. Okay, cool. I'm happy with that. Let's see, what else do I want to do? Overlay here, good. Do the same thing here. We're going to subtract this, and that should make a huge difference. Yeah, there we go. Good. All right, and then big with that little bit of feathering. Let's bring our density down. Nah, let's keep it all the way up and just do it this way. Just gonna widen that scope a little bit with the feathering. Yeah, that's coming together really nice. Okay, cool. What else we got? I also want to do with this photo. I don't know what else we need to do with this photo. It's actually looking really pretty good. I want to crop it a little bit. I feel like then again, yeah, coming in a little bit on the side I think is a good idea. Just a little bit, because I want to make sure our focus stays center. I don't know. I think this is actually really centered pretty well so far. I'm pretty happy with that. I feel like I don't know exactly if there's a change I want to make or not. I'm really. Let's go with color a bit. Let's see what we can do with color. Let's come down here. Can brighten up our whites, or our blues, which don't do us a whole lot. Brightening up the aquas helps a bit, gives us a little more something there. If I bring up the aquas as well, that'll give a little bit. I don't know if I want to. I bring the blues just down. Really makes that falls in the middle stand out as it's pretty stark and white, and I actually like that a lot. Let's bring those down. Let's do it that way. We'll bring up the reds and the oranges. Yeah, we'll let color surround it, and we'll have a pillar of white in the middle, and that will look awesome. So we'll do that. Reds, absolutely. Really getting some of that nice color in there. And we've got some really nice balance, kind of almost like three sides of a circle here, with reds and oranges, and then we got the sky completing it. That's a really nice collection. Let's see, reds. Do I want to bring them up? Nah, let the reds come down a bit and let them make some nice contrast with the oranges. Yellows I probably want to bring down a bit. Like I want this photo is very much about the reds and the yellows and the white in the center. Let's see, yellow, we could push it toward orange. That actually looks really good. If we push it toward green, I feel like that's a little distracting. So let's push the yellows toward orange, and get a little more in there. we'll still bring their exposure down. Greens. There's a good amount of green in this actually that I want to adjust. Let's push them toward yellow. There we go. That gives us a nice. That's a little too monochromatic. I don't want to go all the way there. I want to go a little bit, something like that. We can desaturate them. Cool. Can brighten or darken the blues. Don't know if we really need to. Honestly, they look pretty good where they're at. Yeah, don't have too much of an issue with that. Purples. Let's bring the purples down. They're adding light, and I don't really need that. We'll bring the purples down, the magentas down as well. Let's see. Now the wonder of, am I ruining this shot? Because that's what every editor worries about. Am I making this photo any better? Or am I just making it different? There's something about that green there. It's a little too, if I push it all the way up, it's a little too lush. But keeping some of it, in hindsight, I don't think is a bad idea. Something like that, actually, I think is kind of nice. Just finding that line. Leave these saturations where they are. Yeah, a little bit of green kind of zigzagging through the middle here, and I'm actually going to go ahead and do a mask to highlight that. Do this with a brush because it's going to be a very free-form one. I'm going to set the new brush. Thank you. I'm going to set the density down at about 50%, give or take, and we're going to start painting. We're going to start grabbing. Okay, now I want to see this over color. There we go. And we're just going to start getting some of these little spots that are green and yellow as well. This is very much not an exact science. Honestly, if I don't get this perfect, that's kind of better because it'll give us more color contrast to work with. I don't think I'm going to be brightening too much up so much as we're going to be just kind of saturating. Let's get these areas over here. Let's get this tree over here. It's this big guy. I think I'm going to collectively bring the saturation down on the whole thing in a second, but I want to get this first. We'll get that. We'll kind of come out to here and get this little branch that sticks out. We'll get this little guy here, and by doing this, we sort of come through and connect with everything, which I like. Let's see. Let's touch a little bit here, touch a little bit down here, a little bit of that. Okay. So if I push that a little more toward green as a color motif, I can push it toward blue a bit, which I don't hate. If I push toward yellow, it's the same problem we're running into. Let's push toward blue. Push it a little bit more aqua. Could play with lighting. Brightening it up a little bit is not too bad of an idea. Texture, clarity, not really necessary as far as I'm concerned. It's not doing. Actually, bringing the texture down lets the color pop a little more, and that's actually pretty good. Shadows up a bit? Yeah, a little bit of shadows, so we get the green kind of coming through as a whole thing. Yeah. This is turning into a Christmas photo now. Red and green all over the place. I like this. I'm pretty happy with how that's looking. Let's come back down to our global adjustments. Let's put our shadows back. Let them brighten up a little bit so we get a little more of the floor down here, which is cool. And then let's bring our vibrance down a bit. So what was that at? Was it 68? It's a little much. Let's play with those two again. All right, so that's what it is right now. If I bring the saturation up, we get a little more of the reds. If I bring the vibrance up, we get a little more of kind of everything. Let's do a little bit of vibrance and a little bit of saturation and do it that way. Cool. One thing I think I need to do is I think I need to correct the angle on this. I'd like this to be straight up and down. So do that. Looks like I went a little too far. Let's reset that at 0 and just close to that. Yeah, I think that's good. And now we'll adjust my crop as much as I can to get this as wide as possible. Let's make sure our waterfall there, our impromptu falls is more centered. Yeah, there we go. 3 stars. Cool. I like how that came out. Excellent. What else we got? What's this one look like? Nah, not loving that. Here's a better shot of that waterfall that we talked about. Or another waterfall on the path again as we came. This is on the way out. As we came back, this was gone, which was kind of a wild thing to have to exist. It was just coming down and pouring off the rocks and looked like it just belonged there, and then on the way back it's not there. It was wild. Let's see. I edited this, did I? Did a little bit there. This one looks like I haven't touched it. Alright, let's work on this one. This looks cool. Alright. Let's see. What do I like about this photo? I like the path of the water running down there. I like the peaks and the edge in the distance and the little waterfall coming down there. Alright, let's enjoy some landscape here. So I bring this down. I'm gonna bring this up so we kind of get a better sense of the. This is actually gonna be kind of cool because I did a version of this photo like years ago, and now I'm gonna do a new version, and I'm not gonna look at the old one until I see what I do here, and we'll compare, which will be fun. All right, let's get that sky as always. Always a good spot to start. Cool, good. There we go, we got some clouds. Excellent. Bring the highlights down, bring the blacks down to get some real color in there. There's some contrast in there. We can bring up the clarity. How noisy is that now? Not too bad. Really not too bad. I might denoise that a little bit, but not too much. A little bit of denoising. I bring up the texture, it's gonna be more noisy, but I kinda want the texture could stay where it is. Don't need to do much with that. Shadows down a little bit. That's pretty cool. Okay, let me see the overlay. All right, I want to add the brush. I'm a low density brush, high feather. I want to get this area down here on the mountain because that is currently sticking out as a little bit. Yeah, that's helpful. Let's zoom in a bit. Let's come down 50%. Come down to here. I want to see if I can get this edge without too much difficulty. Something like that. Let's see. Yeah, it looks good. Makes the mountain more part of the thing. Do I want to crop this in a little more? I'm wondering if I crop it into like that. That is much better, actually. If I do 8.5 by 11. That's pretty close. Perfect. Okay, cool. So I can widen this a bit. Yeah, okay, this photo is telling a story now. Yes, I love it. I'm really happy. We're gonna have a lot of fun with this one. Cool. All right. Do I want to come over a little bit? Maybe a bit. Nah, you know what? I like having that little peak in there. I say little peak. That thing it's a mountain. There we go. That's got something to it. Okay, good. Let's see what's next. Highlights? No, highlights can stay. Shadows? No, actually, I'm very happy with the exposure on this. If I dehaze a little bit, it's gonna do to the sky what I don't want it to do. So let's do a duplicate invert, get everything else, and then dehaze from there. We'll dehaze. We'll bring up the shadows a bit from here, which will really give us some nice bright colors, which are great. Because we love the way this looks. We'll bring the blacks down a bit for a little bit of that darker contrast. Excellent. Texture? No. Texture. Am I doing a photo that doesn't need a whole lot of texture adjustment? What the hell? Especially a photo of mountains. What is happening to me? I don't feel like myself anymore. All right, let's see. You know, I got an idea. I want to bring the blacks down a little more. I want to darken that up because we're gonna do a new brush, new mask with a brush, density all the way up, and I want to get just these streams of water here. This is gonna be freehand and specific. So let's do it. It's a decent chance we're going to spend the rest of the stream on this one photo. Just to really, because I I want to get this right. I'm falling head over heels in love with this photo, and I want to get it right. So let's make sure we get that little connector. And I say pretty regularly that if you're masking, especially with a brush, and you're going to be doing something like this, you want to, if you're doing it, your level of exactness matters depending on if you're working with texture, color, or light. In this case, we're working with light, which means I need to be as exact as possible, which is still, middling. But this is the time to take my time, draw these brushes out, and get them right. So. Real small. We gotta get this little guy here. Okay, so let's come back up to this. Let's get this little edge like that. Let's get this here. Try to get all these little bright points. Okay, let's see what I can, if I take the highlights and crank them up. That's the shadows, but that's actually pretty good too. It's shadows and highlights. Clarity. Not dehaze, I don't want to dehaze it. Texture, a little bit. That is a start. We're gonna get that. We're certainly overexposed. Bring the whites down now. How far are we gonna get with the whites before it starts overexposing? Not very far at all. Okay, so let's just leave the whites where they are. That's probably enough once I do the other one. That looks pretty good, honestly. Okay, cool. So let's come over to our second one, which is right here. Let me see the overlays again. We're gonna work on this guy. This one I can zoom into 200%, I think. Oop. I'm gonna be specific here. Always fun when we find a reason to get real quiet on stream. Just click our way through this. Intensity down a bit. Get this middle section. Same deal. Let me get this area over here. Oh, this one keeps going. Keep that density sort of low just to grab that. And now we can bring it back up to get this more aggressive section. Down here we got a very nice, and this is the thing about Zion, is that you get these canyon, you get the, like, all of these canyons, you know, when it rains, like, you've got tons and tons and tons of impromptu waterfalls all over the park, which are gorgeous but make hiking difficult. And you can just imagine, you know, this is a, you know, it's hard to, obviously, anytime you're looking at a mountain, a lot of times it's hard to judge exactly how big it is. But you're looking at this. It's a cascade. It's not a huge roaring waterfall, but it is still falls, and it is still hundreds, if not thousands, of gallons of water coming down the edge of the rock face, you know, minute by minute. And as you know, if you've got tons and tons of these falls, and the water's all accumulating, that looks like a hand. It doesn't look like a skeletal hand. I love that. I might be a very intense crop, but I might do a version of this. I might do a shot like that. Anyway, here we go. So coming down here. So yeah, if you want to talk about like how the, you know, the reason they close, you know, the Narrows and Observation Point and a lot of other, any hike, that's one of the reasons Angel's Landing is as popular as it is just because, all right, I want to make this smaller. We're going to zoom in 300%, and I'm going to do each individual finger here. I'm actually going to go in closer. I'm going to go to 400. I want to do that. I could do this as a big singular thing. I don't want to. I want to do this as, I want to give this the kind of skeletal detail I feel like it deserves. There we go. That one's actually a little bit off. Let's try that again. But if you can imagine all this water coming down, like Angel's Landing doesn't really require going through a canyon. Angel's Landing is a little bit difficult if it is actually raining, because you still have a steep ascent, and it's a 1,500 foot drop on either side. So like, you be careful. That said, I did half the trip up to Angel's Landing on the chain one-handed because I was recording it. So maybe I'm the wrong person to listen to. But let's bring the density back down to get this area here. Anyway, but yeah, so like the reason a lot of them, you know, the really big hikes get closed off is because all this water coming down, the closer a hike is to the main canyon, the more of this water is going to end up in it. And when that happens, you end up with, let's turn the overlay off and see what this looks like. That looks good. That looks very good. I'm going to crop that a little bit more, just a touch more in, because I want us to be able to look down and see that hand right at the very bottom of the shot. That to be kind of just that hand just sort of pointing right at the very bottom. Cool. Crack your knuckles. Your fingers in this case. But yeah, so all this water running, you know, through all these little slot canyons, and that's the other thing about Zion, about any national park that's canyon based, and especially, you know, in this area, but Zion in specifically because you spend so much time down in the canyon. I want to brighten the sky a little bit. It's not just, just do it with the highlights. It's not just the immediate area around the canyon. It is, I remember a ranger told me, and I remember being surprised by the number. I don't remember exactly what it was off the top of my head, but it is, a huge area around Zion where, when it rains in anywhere in that area, the water ends up in Zion with whatever it brings with it. So there is just that, not just these little falls in the park that are created and that funnel water toward the main canyon, but also the surrounding part of the state happens as well. And so that is, something of note that makes Zion super cool and super unique, but also makes it more dangerous to hike in the rain. Okay, yeah, this is cool. Okay, yeah, I want to darken that down to our white waterfalls stand out more, but also it lets me, bring up the greens here, looks really good. It also lets me saturate them too much, a little bit. Yeah, up in the saturation and reducing the luminance lets me keep those beautiful colors and pull them out while also preserving those beautiful streaks of white that we have from our falls. Let's bring this down even more. Bring the yellows down a bit as well, maybe. Want to find just the right balance. That's decent. What are reds doing? Reds are not a huge thing on this one. Let's bring them up a little bit. Bring the saturation up to really get the color in there, which is... I love this. I really, really do. Blues. A little bit of blue in the sky. That, yeah, bringing that up. Aquas, sort of. Sadness. Anyway. Blues up, I think, is good. It gives us a nice little counterpoint to everything else. It doesn't let the photo be too monochromatic. Even if it is a little bit, and that's fine. Purples, not really at play here. Magentas, maybe in a couple tiny spots. Not really a factor. Let's see. Here they should not do anything with purples and magentas on this one. Aquas we can bring up or down. We can bring them down a little bit. Blues we'll touch up as to kind of form a balance. No, we won't. We'll leave it where it is. That's fine. I don't think I need to do anything with the color sliders. I could push it that way and get the whole... Nah, that takes away the contrast. It's better like this. It's more interesting. We'll desaturate the yellows, but we won't remove them. That's what we'll do. There we go. Okay, I am very happy with this. I wonder if do I want to crop this in even a little bit more just to lose a little more of that sky. Something like that. If I bring this down to here and do it like that. Ooh, hang on, guys. We're finding something. This is getting more interesting. Guys, we're finding stuff. That's why I love it. Let's come down even more. Oh, I think that's it. Yeah, guys, that's very close to being it. There's one last thing I want to do. I'm gonna get a brush, and these bright green leaves down here, I'm not the biggest fan of. So we're gonna see what we can do about darkening them up a little bit. There we go. Make them less of a thing. Take the highlights down. Let's keep the highlights up. Let's let them have a little bit of an existence. Because if I go too dark, it looks like we edited them out. If I let them just be dark and kind of match everything else, I think that's good. I am going to add a tiny bit of a vignette on this one for the same reason. A little bit of post-crop vignetting. Let's do -8. Yeah, that's good. Focuses your eye right to the center, which is where we want it. Profile correction. That's a substantial change. I don't want to do that. I'm going to leave it as is. Chromatic aberration, let's definitely remove. How are we doing on noise? I think noise, we're probably pretty good. That's not bad. It's a little out of focus, but that's fine because our focus is here. And we're zooming in 400%. That's another reason why that looks like it's a little bit pixelated. Dude, pay attention to your own photos. Yeah, that looks phenomenal. I really love that. I want to come back up here. I want to do one more thing. I want to go to our middle here. I'm gonna brighten the highlights just a touch, just that extra little bit to brighten up that middle section. And I'll come back down here and I'll bring our oranges down another couple of notches. Cool. Yeah, I like that. It's also something worth saying. I talk forever about the histogram and about the things the histogram can do. 3 stars, beautiful. I love this photo so freaking much. Yeah, we talk about the histogram up in the corner here, and I talk about when you're looking at an unedited file like this. No, this one's been edited. They've all been edited, guys. I edited every photo. What do I do? Let's look at this one. So this one hasn't really been touched. It's been cropped, but that's about it. And I talk about the histogram here, being like, okay, this is there's a lot of lights. There's not a whole lot of information in the darks. There's nowhere that's underexposed, but there's also nowhere that's overexposed. This histogram is workable. Um, you know, if you handed me a photo, like a raw photo that looked with this histogram, I'd be worried. Because this is like, oh, that's not, there's not a whole, like, there's almost no information in the lights. There's a lot of stuff that's, you know, most of it's in the middle, but it's still, I don't love it. But histogram matters a lot less. Matters when you're taking the photo, matters when you're starting the edit. Once you start processing it into something like this, the histogram can end up looking like whatever it looks like. You don't need a balanced histogram, and I'd probably argue photos with a lot of character to them don't have a balanced histogram. This is a much more moody photo than we started with if we do a before and after. Like, it's much moodier. It's got much more obviously texture and contrast to it, but it just has, there's a beautiful crispness to this photo that you didn't get at the beginning. And let's do the fun thing. Let's compare it to the other one I edited. Okay, this is cool. I get to see my own process. I get to see kind of the version I edited back in 2017, 2018, and the version I made now. And oh man, this is cool. I like seeing my journey as a photographer here. That's wow. My eyes caught on a lot of the same stuff. Let's go back to just the single photo and let's look at what I did to each of these. I click on here. Okay, so I brought the highlights up just because I wanted that sky. I wanted to brighten this up. I took the shadows down, the blacks down a bit. Texture I didn't do anything with because texture, I may have been editing this photo before the texture slider was a thing. That's a decently recent addition to Lightroom. Didn't do anything with dehaze. I turned the vibrance all the way up. And did I touch vibrance over here? I didn't. I used the color sliders. Did I use the color sliders on this? I did. I played with saturation, didn't play with luminance. Didn't do anything with blue, which is interesting. I guess, yeah, until you darken the sky, there's not a lot to work with in blue. I pulled the yellows down. That's the same move. Orange is up and yellows down in terms of saturation. That's interesting. I was big into the clarity and the vibrant sliders at the beginning, and that's great, but you don't get... It's global. It's not... Did I do any masking? I don't think I did. I don't think it was... No masks. Interesting. That's a cool thing to see, just to be able to compare these two. Be able to see kind of, what it's... We looked at the original. We looked at kind of, what it started as. And now we can compare it to my first edit years ago, and now to this, which I think is much... I love this photo. I love this photo so much. Cool. All right. Let's see. We got 10 more minutes on here. Is there a mountain photo that I haven't done that I'd like to? I kind of want to do this one. All right, let's lose the reference stuff. Let's work on this one. This one's cool. Start off with our crop. All right. I'm having so many issues with these little branches here. So let's go. Let's do an 11 by 17. Let's bring it up. And we're going to do it like that. Okay. So the problem is, all right, I'm at ISO 1000, which means this is going to be a very noisy photo. There's part of me that wants to just kind of live with that. All right, let's bring the highlights up. I want to black and white this. Doesn't really make a difference yet. Let's see. If I crank the vibrance and the saturation, there's not a lot of color to be pulled out, and the color that is pulled out I don't love. I can push the color temperature more toward blue or more toward gold, but because there's not a whole lot of color differentiation in there. Oh, by the way, real quick, look at the histogram up here. When I haven't messed with anything color related, you see it's all white. It's all the colors on top of each other. If I crank up the vibrance and the saturation, you get little bits. You see kind of where certain things can peak. So like as you see down here, these leaves get this kind of yellow-green haze around them, and up here in the peak, you see a little bit yellow kind of popping up. If I go with a white balance adjustment, something big, you can see I'm really pushing the blues away from everything else, and that's kind of the effect it's having on the rest of the photo. It's not just when you see the histogram having a whole bunch of colors, different colored peaks as opposed to just being the solid one that it started as. That's why. That's what that is. Okay, let's see. Texture. Yeah, let's be real texture. So let's bring the dehaze. Okay. Yeah, this is... yeah, my camera sensor was not dirty when I shot this photo. Got one spot up there, and that's about it. I'm going to denoise the hell out of this in a second, but let's see. Okay. So, shadows. Shadows down. Ooh, you know what? Let's try this. I got an idea. Let's go 8.5 by 11. Let's hit X to switch it to a vertical one. Let's bring this up and over. You know, let's do it 8 by 10. And get a little wider that way. I kind of want that. Let's do this. Let's see, center the mountain, get a little bit of those branches in there. Good. And now, all right, actually, hang on a sec. To do this, I think I need to undo that crop. Hang on a sec, guys. All right. So let's go back to let's go back to as shot. No, go back to original. Original gives me the full thing. Cool. Let's grab a clone brush because I want this guy. I want this whole area here. Actually, I'm doing this backwards. Wow, that actually removed that fairly well. I'm surprised that worked. Okay, let's do this. I'm doing this backwards. I want this area. This area kind of down in here. We'll do that. And you're gonna try to remove stuff, which I don't want you to do. I want to clone. And I want to bring this over, and I want to get this. I'm just gonna get the edge of the photograph. Okay, it's gonna take a second try. You know what? Let's do this. Let's grab this as is, and I'll switch stuff around. That's what we'll do. So we'll get the edge of the photo. We'll get this whole section here. Like that. And this is 100% something I should do in Photoshop, but am not doing in Photoshop because it's the closest explanation I've got. I'm gonna switch the two. Something like that. If I switch it to healing, it'll help blend it in a little bit more, but not great. Okay, we're gonna put this back to there. Alright. You know what, I might switch that. I might either do this in Photoshop or switch it to healing, or just give up on this part of the process entirely. Switch that to switch this one to a heal. Refresh. Not what I wanted you to do. Yeah, something like that. Cool. And now we'll come back to our crop. And we will go back to our 8 by 10. We'll switch it to a vertical crop. And now I can come over and do this. And I can get I can have the trees and branches as kind of dotting the corners of my photo. It's 100% how to Photoshop in Lightroom. I don't recommend it. It is a cumbersome process that you should not be doing in Lightroom. But here we are. Okay, so now with that established, and with those guys made part of the photo, we can continue to edit. Let's do that. Let's see, black and white, color. Let's stick to color for now. Let's bring the blacks down a bit because I want to get. There we go. White's up. That's looking good. Cool. That's a start. Again, vibrance. There's not really much to do with the color on this one. It really isn't. I could play with luminance a bit just to see what I get, because there are different colors in there that I might be able to sort of bring out some individual contrasty details. Like if I do that, I'm bringing up there's a little bit of orange down there at the bottom, so I'm bringing that up a little bit, and that's kind of nice. I think this photo is going to end up being black and white. I really do. Yeah, it is. Okay, let's do that. Let's go to black and white. Cool. So now, bring the shadows up and let them kind of have that. And of course, this is noisy as all get out, which is fine because I don't mind. Interesting. I'm trying to get a black and white mix on this one. Let's see. Which I'm going to if I tell you to do it, that's automatically that's what you think you want to do. Okay. I don't like that. I like a little more detail, a little more contrast, a little more interesting stuff here. Okay, so let's bring up the greens so we get to see them a little more. Blues or aquas are non-existent, which is therefore sad. Bring the blues down. Purples, where are y'all at? You're a bit up there. Let's bring you guys down, and then magentas, same deal. Let's bring you up to kind of keep in line with the reds. Good. Okay, sharpening down. Noise reduction up without being too over dramatic. Let me do. All right, I have to select the sky. Let me see what it gives me. See what it picks, because technically this is just cloud and fog, so I'm not sure what's going to count as sky. It might give me. No, it gives me the whole photo. Okay, never mind. Let's try something else. We're gonna try color range. Just want the whites. There we go. I can bring that up and get. So we'll do that. We'll bring that all the way up, and then we'll do a subtract color range on the darkest parts. And that'll get me more of just the area around the mountain. Bring this down. Something like that. There we go. Cool. And now I can denoise the hell out of those. I can bring sharpening down on that. Drop the texture. Dropping the clarity is actually not bad either, because you do get this nice, that nice, just the starkness of that mountain. I'm gonna bring this in a tiny bit more, because I want to get there's that one little dangling branch that I didn't love. There we go. That's pretty cool. Let me do a, let's see, new mask. I try a luminance range on this guy. Oh, I did color range by accident. Go away. Cancel that. New mask. Come on. Just create new. There we go. Luminance. Give me this. Give me the darker sections of the photo. There we go. Cool. Texture's already all the way up. Right, we're gonna darken this down a decent amount, kind of like that, and then I'm gonna do a subtract brush set at 70-ish% is fine. Let me see the overlay. I'm gonna subtract more of this in kind of an artsy way. Yeah, I like that. Let's come a little bit over here, but not too much. Let's get out of there. Let the mountain just kind of be the mountain. Yeah, that is pretty cool. I'm happy with that, especially for being a quick 10-minute edit on one of these photos. So a quick peek at the before and after. Really does bring out the starkness of it. Really does bring out the we got to do this cool janky photoshopping, which I think is just fun. I'll give that 2 stars. But yeah, no, like, talk about editing, that's the photo for today. That one is just gorgeous. I love it. Okay, yeah, I think we're gonna call it today for tonight's or this evening's, afternoon's, whatever time it is stream. Let's come back to me. Man, I gotta tweak the contrast on this camera. I look like I'm in fog, and not the fun kind of mountain fog, because I'm in my flat. But anyway, usually, so yeah, thank you guys for joining. I'm gonna do the usual little pitch for postcards, available on, if you go to erichackler.com/photography, or my Instagram at twistedinnature, you will find links to all the different stores that I sell these in. They are awesome. They have some of my photos from around the country. Alaska, or that's Virginia, that's Alaska, that's Arizona, that's Antelope Canyon, near where these photos today were taken. They are available for purchase. You get a set of 5 for like $13, and they, fully functional. Got postcard backs. You can put a stamp on them, send them to anybody you want. Connect with people through photography, which is cool. Hopefully, if these sell out, I will be able to do another printing of them, and I will print out we'll do some new photos. Might actually do this one from Zion, or maybe even the Watchman shot from Zion. That'd be cool. and they all have the QR code on the back, so you can add them to the map, and we can see where they go. That being, in addition to that, there are tons of my photographs available on my Etsy store and on my separate Zenfolio portfolio, which again, erichackler.com/photography, erichackler.com/photography, and you can find links to both of those. There's a lot of stuff on my Zenfolio. Pretty much any photo you've seen me edit on stream is on Zenfolio, and you can check that out and purchase those. You can get some really nice high-quality canvas wraps, as well as some beautiful, beautiful prints. And then on my Etsy store, there's a bunch of more of kind of, like a more curated selection. There's a few other things on there. There's also a couple of sets of photos sold as a pair, which is a really cool thing that I can be like, hey, this is, you get 2 shots that like reflect each other. There's the most recent one I put on that I really love is, I guess I'll pull it up real quick. Actually, let's jump back into Lightroom. I'll pull up what this looks like because it's right in here. It's the big Schloss photos. Let's bring the thumbnails down so I can see what I'm looking for. So let's see, where are they? Let's go to the edited ones for starters. We'll do the develop tab here. Let's see, sort by edited. There's a cow. We love that cow. That cow is wonderful. So let's see. Let's do a pair of these. This one and this one, I believe. So it's these 2 photos here that are being sold as a set. They're both taken at the peak of Big Schloss along the Virginia-West Virginia line. The blue side is Virginia. The golden side is West Virginia. So they are a cool kind of matching set of photos for this one autumn day, and just what it's like to have to be in this spot at this time. So those are available on my Etsy store exclusively. So feel free to check those out. All right, with that all said, thank you guys for joining. Jen, especially, thank you. It's so great to have a celebrity on. That means the world to me to have you be part of this. And, of course, Stephanie, Shelby Lynn, Evelyn, Mia, anyone else who joined, anyone who was part of this, thank you. Thank you for giving me a chance to share this with you. Thank you for sharing some of your day with me. And hopefully we will do it again. We will continue to create awesome things together, and we will continue to share art and the artistic process. And by doing that, expand our minds a little bit. So, yes, all of that said, be safe, be well, keep kicking ass, keep taking names, keep doing awesome, awesome things. And, just listen to your heart, listen to yourself, and trust that the art that you create will change you as much as it changes your audience. All right. Have a good night, everyone. See you soon.